But I don't have the guts for this. By Allan, Stevo. Now I've done some gutsy things in my life, but this one might have been the hardest I've done in a while. Writing personal notes to friends and acquaintances to ask for their support of a man who the media tries so hard to discredit. Don't I discredit myself by linking myself to him? Well, I think lots of people have done worse. For example, I didn't cast a ballot for the man who had American citizen Anwar al-Awlaki assassinated without anything resembling a trial and insist that he does not need to explain himself to the American people. I cast a ballot for a much more noble and respectable man, Ron Paul. In contrast, here's President Obama as described by the progressive, democratic-leaning Salon.com columnist Glenn Greenwald. Quote, President Obama himself holds heinous views on a slew of critical issues, and himself has done heinous things with the power he has been vested. He has slaughtered civilians, Muslim children by the dozens, not once or twice, but continuously in numerous nations with drones, cluster bombs, and other forms of attack. He sought to overturn a global ban on cluster bombs. He's institutionalized the power of presidents in secret and with no checks to target American citizens for assassination by CIA, far from any battlefield. He's waged an unprecedented war against whistleblowers, the protection of which was once considered a liberal shibboleth. He rendered permanently irrelevant the War Powers Resolution, a crown jewel in the list of post-Vietnam liberal accomplishments, and thus enshrined the power of presidents to wage war even in the face of a congressional vote against it. His obsession with secrecy is so extreme that it's become darkly laughable in its manifestations, and he even worked to amend the Freedom of Information Act, another crown jewel of liberal legislative success, when compliance became inconvenient. He's entrenched for a generation the once reviled, once radical Bush-Cheney terrorism powers of indefinite detention, military commissions, and the state's secret privilege as a weapon to immunize political leaders from the rule of law. He's shielded Bush-era criminals from every last form of accountability. He's vigorously prosecuted the cruel and supremely racist war on drugs, including those parts he vowed during the campaign to relinquish, a war which devastates minority communities and encages and converts into felons huge numbers of minority youth for no good reason. He's empowered thieving bankers through the Wall Street bailout, Fed secrecy, efforts to shield mortgage defrauders from prosecution, and the appointment of an endless roster of former Goldman Sachs executives and lobbyists. He's brought the nation to a full-on Cold War and a covert hot war with Iran on the brink of far greater hostilities. He's made the U.S. as subservient as ever to the destructive agenda of the right-wing Israeli government. His support for some of the Arab world's most repressive regimes is as strong as ever. Most of all, America's national security state, its surveillance state, and its posture of endless war is more robust than ever before. The nation suffers from what National Journal's Michael Hirsch just christened Obama's romance with the CIA. He has created what the Washington Post just dubbed a vast drone-killing operation, all behind an impenetrable wall of secrecy and without a shred of oversight. Obama's steadfast devotion to what Dana Priest and William Arkin called top secret America has severe domestic repercussions as well, building up vast debt and deficits in the name of militarism that create the pretext for the austerity measures which the Washington class, including Obama, is plotting to impose on America's middle and lower class. Unquote. Instead of voting for such monstrous behavior, instead of voting for President Obama, I cast a ballot and worked my tail off for much of 2007 and all of 2008 for the ideas of a congressman who has remained pretty darn consistent on his stances for a long time. Doesn't want to harm anyone. Wants everyone to be free. He doesn't want more war. Instead, he wants other countries not to feel bullied by us. And those few concepts are only the beginning of the many decent and honest stances Ron Paul takes. If I can't get beyond any shame I feel in that, there's something wrong with me. What I should feel is the greatest possible pride. My deepest beliefs and most passionate behavior are entirely in line with each other. But the shame isn't about that. The shame is in the discussion. Politics in America is very much based around sloganeering and feeling very personally attached to those slogans. That leads us to be unthinking. Correspondingly, people may feel offended when asked to discuss politics in any depth. It's hard to open up a political discussion because you know you always risk offending someone simply by asking questions. In fact, American media is the only media in the world that I have come across where I'm offended is a style of thinking that is considered a legitimate way to silence debate. This process of reaching out to others, this process of turning yourself into the media, the conduit of information, is vital if we're going to change course in America. While it may feel comfortable, I'd like to ask you to reach out to all the people around you starting today. This is an important step for us to win the Republican nomination in August. This is an important step for us in making someone our president that we can be proud of.